Archies and Lilibets has been signed off by a host of royal daughters. Diana Mountbatten Windsor to the world. Lily was born on Friday, June 4th. The whole surrogacy business and all of the speculation and all of the antics of the child called Lily, they exist. I know people would...
In the British royal family, private events are rarely truly private. Royal births are usually announced in a formal, public way, carefully recorded, confirmed, and supported by official medical documentation. The monarchy depends on a basic promise. Every person in the line of succession is exactly who they are claimed to be. That is why questions around Archie and Lilibet, now 6th and 7th in line to the throne, have drawn so much attention. Lady Colin Campbell, known for speaking openly about Princess Diana before others did, has challenged Buckingham Palace to give clear proof that Meghan personally gave birth to both children or remove them from the line of succession. The palace has not replied. The issue keeps growing because of one 3-digit number on an official document, and critics say it changes how the full story looks. Traditionally, royal births follow a clear pattern: a public announcement, formal verification, official records, doctors linked to the royal household, and a notice displayed outside Buckingham Palace. That happened with William, Harry, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Their births were presented with certainty and no public doubt. Archie and Lilibet, critics argue, were handled very differently. And no one has pushed that issue more than Lady Colin Campbell, a New York Times best-selling author with long-standing connections to senior royal circles.
No nonsense from these people in the jungle, and I love her for that. Is she as bossy in real life? Does she boss you around?
Lady Colin Campbell is not easy to dismiss. Long before major media outlets were willing to report on Princess Diana's private life, she was already doing it. That history gives weight to what she says now. In 2025, while promoting Robe Royal, she spoke plainly. She did not soften her position. She publicly asked Buckingham Palace to answer one direct question and explained why she believed the issue mattered. Her case is not based on emotion. It is based on constitutional concern. She said the palace was given birth certificates naming Harry as the father and Meghan as the mother. On the surface, that seems final. But under UK law, no one can be forced to give a DNA sample without consent. That means if a document were false, legally proving it would be extremely difficult. In her view, the law does not solve the problem. It blocks it. She also questioned the handling of Archie's birth in particular. She asked why false or unclear information would be given to both the family and the media about the time and place of the birth. Her point was that the palace did not simply keep details private. It withheld them in a way that broke sharply from long-standing royal practice. She also highlighted another unusual detail even after the birth certificates were submitted. The palace took months to officially place Archie and Lilibet in the line of succession on its website.
This world. In his newly obtained birth certificate, it shows Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor arrived May.
That delay was never explained, and Lady Colin Campbell says that alone raises serious questions. Her position is simple. The public has a clear right to know that everyone in the line of succession has been properly verified. In the case of these two children, she says that proof has not been shown. The palace has stayed silent. The first major weakness in the official story does not come from a court case or a book. It comes from a 3-digit code on a government document that few people noticed at first. In the United States, birth certificates include a federal area code showing the state where the birth was registered. California's code is 104. Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor was officially said to have been born at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California on June 4, 2021. That is the version given in the public record, the palace statement, and news reports. But the birth record that later became public shows the code 105, not the code for California, Santa Barbara, or the hospital named in the official account.
Diana on Friday. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announcing her birth to the world 48 hours later.
Colorado, a state with no known home or medical ties to the Sussexes. One code error alone proves nothing. Official records can contain mistakes, and that should be stated clearly. But this case is more complicated. California allows something called a pre-birth order or judgment of parentage. This is a court order obtained during pregnancy that legally names the intended parents before the baby is born. It was created for surrogacy cases. With that order in place, the intended parents' names appear on the birth certificate from the start. The surrogate's name does not appear at all. There is no note, no warning, and no public sign that a surrogate was involved. To anyone looking at it, a surrogate birth certificate and a natural birth certificate look exactly the same. That is why the 105 code matters. If Lilibet was carried by a surrogate in another state, then later registered in California under a pre-birth order listing Meghan as the mother, the only visible clue might be in the state-to-state paperwork. The names could still be correct. The hospital could still be correct. The date could still be correct.
Rachel Meghan, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, and chose her job as Princess of the United
To the public, everything could appear to match the official version except the code, because that code reflects where the birth actually happened, not what a pre-birth order says. Analysts are not claiming proof. They are saying the 105 code fits the kind of administrative trace a cross-state surrogacy arrangement could leave by accident. When the child involved is sixth in line to the British throne, a 3-digit mismatch on a government record is not a minor paperwork issue. It becomes a constitutional matter, especially when no one in a position of authority has answered it. The documents are where the questions start. But the bigger problem, critics say, appears in Harry's own book. In January 2023, he released Spare, presented as his full and honest account. It sold 1.4 million copies on its first day. Yet within it, he may have undermined his own version of events. Not with a shocking confession, but with simple timing anyone can check. Harry describes Archie's birth night at Portland Hospital in London. He writes about Meghan in labor, the delivery itself, the excitement, the gas and air, Nando's chicken in the room, and the moment he first held his son.
Your baby is absolutely amazing, but this little thing is absolutely to die for, so I'm just over the moon.
Harry tells the story in Spare with vivid, personal detail, which makes it feel believable. He describes Archie's birth at Portland Hospital, then suggests the family return to Frogmore Cottage within about 2 hours. That timeline is hard to accept. Portland Hospital is in central London, while Frogmore Cottage is in Windsor, roughly 20 miles away, and at least an hour by car in good traffic. That does not include the labor, delivery, routine post-birth monitoring, newborn checks, discharge paperwork, or normal hospital procedures. The timing simply does not add up. The palace's own timeline raises an even bigger problem. On the night Archie was born, Buckingham Palace told the press that Meghan had gone into labor. That statement came 7 hours after Archie had already been born. This was not a small mistake or a time mix-up. It was an official royal announcement that was plainly impossible, and it has never been properly explained. So the issue is clear. Harry's version fails a basic geography test. The palace's version fails a basic timeline test. And the two versions also conflict with each other. Critics say this was not just a faulty memory. They argue it was a story written to sound real, filled with small human details like Nando's chicken and gas and air, but not built to survive close checking because no one expected the details to be examined. Spare was meant to shut down the rumors. Instead, it gave them stronger support. If Harry cannot accurately tell the timeline of his own son's birth, then the real question is not whether the story was polished, but how much of it was shaped from the start.
Mother and baby are doing incredibly well. It's been the most amazing experience I could ever.
The memoir exposed the weaknesses, but the real failure came earlier. The royal system meant to stop doubts like this had already been stripped away. For more than a century, the monarchy followed a formal process, built on legal principles going back 300 years to prevent any false heir from entering the line of succession. Royal births were not left to private handling. The monarch's own doctors were meant to attend, verify the birth, and sign the official notice displayed outside Buckingham Palace. That bulletin listed the baby's name, time of birth, weight, date, and the doctor's signatures. The golden easel was not just tradition, it was protection. The rule was clear. An heir had to be physically born of the body and confirmed by witnesses. That system was followed for William, Harry, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Each time the signed bulletin appeared and the process was complete. When Archie was born in May 2019, a bulletin was posted, but the doctor's signatures were missing. The palace said the announcement came too quickly for the paperwork to be completed. Lady Colin Campbell challenged that explanation at once. In more than 100 years of royal births, speed had never been used to explain missing signatures. The whole purpose of the protocol was to stop haste or emotion from affecting the record. Then came Lilibet's birth in California in June 2021. This time, there was no golden easel, no posted bulletin, and no royal doctors involved at all.
On Harry and Meghan's terms. Almost 48 hours after their little girl was born, they told
The birth took place on another continent, and with it, the monarchy dropped the most important safeguard it had preserved through wars and modern constitutional crises. In its place came a press release. After Meghan posted a June 2025 Instagram video showing herself dancing in a hospital gown with a visible baby bump, widely seen as an informal response to surrogacy claims, Lady Colin Campbell dismissed it outright. Her point was simple: social media is not proof, and a staged image is not verification. The monarchy does not operate on Instagram. To her, replacing formal evidence with a public performance says everything about how seriously those responsible are taking their duty to provide real documentation. 2 children remain in the line of succession, yet the protocol used for more than a century to confirm every such position was not followed for either of them. Since then, the family at the center of the issue has built a media business in California while steadily pulling away from the royal institution, even though those children still remain legally tied to it. The palace may have answers. What it has not shown is any clear willingness to give them. And the doctor said to have been present in that California delivery room made the situation look even more troubling by doing the one thing that raised more suspicion than any statement could have. She vanished.
Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, a name fit for the 8th in line to the British throne. At 7 pounds and 11 ounces,
Her name is Dr. Melissa Drake, a respected Santa Barbara OBGYN linked to Lilibet's birth, reportedly shut down her long-running practice soon after the birth became public. There was no clear explanation, only vague reasons like retirement, relocation, or personal matters. But the key question remains, why at that exact time? That is why speculation keeps growing. Some believe a strict non-disclosure agreement explains her complete silence and sudden disappearance from public view. The argument is simple. If this had been a normal, clearly documented birth, there would be little reason for such extreme secrecy. A doctor connected to a child so close to the royal line would normally continue working and simply become a small part of royal history. Instead, she vanished from sight. Her silence does not prove anything by itself. But it has kept the surrogacy claims alive because it makes what should have been a simple birth story look heavily controlled. When the one person best placed to confirm the facts cannot or will not speak, the doubts do not fade. They grow.
Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
And to understand why surrogacy would be such a legally devastating problem for the British monarchy specifically, more than 300 years ago, one royal birth changed succession rules forever. In 1688, Mary of Modena, wife of King James II, gave birth to a son. Instead of calming the country, the birth triggered a political crisis. James was Catholic, and many Protestant subjects had accepted his rule only because they expected his Protestant daughters to inherit next. A Catholic son threatened that balance. Doubt spread fast. The claim was that the real baby had died, and another child had been secretly brought into the room in a warming pan and passed off as the Queen's son. Historians do not consider that story credible, but that did not stop the damage. The rumor destroyed public trust, helped to justify the Glorious Revolution, led to William of Orange being invited in, and helped bring down James II. The monarchy learned a lasting lesson. If it cannot prove its heirs are legitimate, rumor alone can shake the throne. That is why the system of royal doctors, signed birth notices, and the Buckingham Palace easel was created. It was not just tradition, it was a safeguard born from the crisis of 1688. That safeguard remained in place for more than 300 years, until Archie and Lilibet. Underneath all of this is the Act of Settlement 1701, which still governs succession. Its wording is clear. The throne passes only to heirs of the body, not to children recognized through a pre-birth court order from a California family court.
Baby Archie is 7th in line, following his father, Prince Harry. Archie won't be called His Royal Highness, because
heirs of the body means a child physically born by the person in the royal line. The law was written long before modern surrogacy, and Parliament has never updated it. Legal experts have said the same thing. Even if Harry is the biological father and everything was done honestly, A child carried by a surrogate may still have no legal right to the British succession under current law. If that happened, there would not need to be a dramatic court fight or major public announcement. Parliament could simply do nothing. The children would stay ineligible by default, quietly and legally. That is what makes the issue so serious. It is not dramatic. It is built into the system. Lady Colin Campbell says the palace should deal with it directly, not to hurt the children or punish Harry and Meghan, but because Archie and Lilibet deserve a clear answer. They did not create this uncertainty. They inherited it. They may live with it forever unless the people responsible finally resolve it. That is why 1688 still matters. It is not just old history. It is the legal and constitutional foundation beneath this entire controversy, still unchanged and still unresolved. And that is what makes the next point stand out even more. Almost every modern royal child has a clear public record: their christenings, birthday photos, Christmas cards, and carefully managed appearances.
One gets the sense that there was a bit of a row, wasn't there? But if you remember in Oprah, Meghan sort of suggested that.
For modern royals, photos are part of the record. They help document a child's place in public life. But the image history of Archie and Lilibet is unusually limited, tightly controlled, and, in some cases, odd enough to trigger intense scrutiny from online analysts, imaging experts, AI researchers, and ordinary viewers. One repeated concern is Archie's hair color. Across official photos, it appears sandy blonde in some images and strongly red in others over periods of months, not years. The issue is not whether red hair is possible. It clearly is. The issue is whether the official images present one consistent appearance or several. The same concern applies to the family's Christmas cards. The children are repeatedly shown with faces turned away, hidden in shadow, or cropped so key details cannot be seen. Supporters call that privacy. Critics say it looks more like deliberate concealment, especially because the pattern keeps repeating. In late 2025, a fake AI image of Archie and Lilibet made with a simple Canva template spread widely online. Many people believed it was real, and when it was exposed as fake, the reaction was not relief but confusion, because a surprising number of people struggled to confidently tell the fake image apart from the official ones. That confusion did not appear out of nowhere.
Illustrate what she claims is this AI manipulation. So that's the one today, and you compare.
The weak public image record has created exactly this problem. It is so limited, so controlled, and so often unclear that a fake picture was able to spread for days before people realized it was false. The obvious answer has always been simple. One clear, unedited, verifiable public appearance would shut down the entire debate for good. Not reduce it, end it. Yet even after all this time, that has still not happened. One view is that Buckingham Palace is simply staying quiet, taking the criticism, and waiting for time to calm the issue. But that is likely too simplistic. Behind the monarchy are experienced officials whose job is to know everything and say nothing until they must. Senior courtiers, legal advisors, intelligence contacts, and long-serving insiders operate far from public view. They do not appear in photos, give interviews, or feature in media projects. In royal circles, they are often called the men in gray. And according to several insiders and royal watchers, they have not been sitting still. Again and again, talk returns to what is known as the dossier, a detailed file the palace has reportedly built and kept for years. It is said to include bullying claims, quiet internal inquiries, and financial matters.
It was Meghan who was a behind-the-scenes bully. Meghan very publicly called those allegations.
The palace is also believed to hold records from the Sussexes' time as working royals, including key communications and, most importantly, the full documented history of both births. Very few people are thought to have seen this material, but the palace's behavior suggests it may be holding important information and choosing not to use it yet. The logic is simple. Information only has power while it is kept in reserve. Once used, that power is gone. Every Netflix project, memoir claim, legal case, and public attack may only be adding more material to the palace's file and strengthening the position of those holding it. The palace does not need to win every headline. It only needs to win at the end. Lady Colin Campbell has also said the silence from much of the media is not just caution. The Sussexes' legal action against parts of the British press has made many outlets think twice. For many, the risk is too expensive. That has created a real chilling effect, and the palace has had little reason to step into a space the press has already backed away from. That is why the reported dossier matters. Its power may not lie in being released, but in the fact that Harry and Meghan can never be sure it will not be. That uncertainty affects every move they make. The palace, in other words, may be playing a much longer game than many people realize. And now, the pressure is growing in a way the monarchy has never faced before. Two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, hold senior royal titles and remain directly linked to the line of succession.
Now Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex. Early Thursday, the update was made on the royal family's official.
They are being raised in the United States, a country founded in part by rejecting hereditary British titles. In Britain, those titles carry legal and constitutional meaning. In America, they do not. The U.S. Constitution does not recognize inherited foreign rank. Even so, the titles still have value. They help open doors, shape public perception, and add commercial power to the Sussex name. Royal status is being used as social and business leverage in a country that gives it no formal legal standing. That has started to raise harder questions. As the Sussex brand grows through media deals, public influence, and ties to political figures, some are asking when this stops being a private family matter and becomes a public or regulatory issue. No official answer has been given, but the fact that the question is now being raised matters. Harry has also created a serious contradiction of his own. He has repeatedly said on the record that he cannot safely bring his children to the UK because the security arrangements are not strong enough to protect them. That is the position he has taken publicly and legally.
He said he will not return to the UK with Meghan and the children unless he has the full level of royal security.
For years, this issue has moved through the British courts, and it helps explain why Archie and Lilibet have barely spent meaningful time in the UK. At the same time, Harry is said to want Archie to study in Britain, build a real bond with King Charles, and stay connected to the country and royal line he was born into. But those ideas clash. If Britain is truly unsafe for his children, then talk of royal titles, succession, and a British upbringing feels distant and unrealistic. If it is safe enough for those plans, then the argument that kept the children in California for years starts to lose force. He cannot hold both positions forever, and the longer that conflict remains, the more it exposes the gap between the public message and the real situation. This is bigger than a private family problem. It points to a deeper structural issue. And in Montecito, the pressure now seems to go beyond the palace and into Harry and Meghan's own relationship, with the children at the center of it. Much of Harry's choices since Diana's death in Paris in 1997, from fighting the tabloids to demanding security, stepping back from royal life, and moving to California, appear driven by one goal: keeping his children from being harmed by the same system he believes destroyed his mother.
To London, having been refused armed royal protection. Let's get reaction from our royal...
Sources say Harry's stance is firm. Archie and Lilibet should stay private, out of branding, publicity, and any commercial use. Meghan's approach appears more layered. As her as-ever lifestyle brand grows, it needs attention, a strong story, and a personal image. What sets her apart from other California founders is the Sussex identity and royal connection, including children with British titles and places in the line of succession. The brand has already used Archie and Lilibet's names for products. Royal commentator Tom Sykes has said Meghan seems to be moving toward a motherhood-focused influencer model, built around family life and carefully presented domestic content that performs strongly in business. In that approach, the children are not on the sidelines. They may be a key part of it. Reports say Harry is not reacting with minor concern, but with deep and repeated alarm. After years of court battles over privacy, he reportedly fears that using the children's royal status for business could eventually put their titles at risk. Meanwhile, the palace is said to be watching closely, with each product tied to the children adding to an already growing record. Signs of deeper trouble are no longer limited to unnamed sources. In December 2025, the Sussexes lost both their chief U.S. publicist and the executive director of Archewell at the same time, without any public explanation or formal transition message.
Career as well. We're not talking of some sort of little snowflake who will leave companies at the drop of the hat.
For an operation as small and tightly run as the Sussex setup, losing two senior figures at once is a major blow. By early 2026, several reports said Harry and Meghan were living more separate lives. Harry was described as pushing for Archie and Lilibet to visit the UK and spend time with King Charles while age and illness still allow it. Meghan's reluctance to return to Britain was said to be one of the deepest and most ongoing tensions in their marriage. At the heart of it is a hard question. Are Archie and Lilibet being treated as children or as part of a media and business strategy? Harry's apparent answer and the direction of the Sussex brand do not seem to match, and that conflict may not stay private for long. Inside Buckingham Palace, an unspoken discussion is likely underway. King Charles, now in his 70s, is facing cancer, family division, and the constant burden of the monarchy. Even so, he has kept the door open longer than many expected. He endured Spare, the Netflix series, public criticism, and repeated claims that his family caused deep harm. The door remains open not because he is weak, but because he is both a father and a careful monarch. He knows a public clash with Harry could cause lasting damage, and that removing titles would create headlines that could haunt the royal family for years. So for now, he waits.
Her diagnosis in February 2024, he did so in an effort to raise awareness and assist public understanding for all.
Reports say Charles has more than once offered a major compromise. If the security issue cannot be settled, he would travel to California to see the children there, without asking Meghan to return to Britain. For a reigning monarch, that is a remarkable step, yet it still has not solved the problem. William, however, is said to see the matter very differently. Unlike his father, he has little patience left. He is not only a brother hurt by years of public attacks, including claims made in Harry's memoir, but also the future king who may inherit a constitutional problem he did not create. To him, this is no longer just a family dispute. It is a growing institutional risk. Archie and Lilibet have not spent meaningful time in Britain since the Platinum Jubilee in June 2022. In those 4 years, George, Charlotte, and Louis have grown up without a real bond with their cousins. Reports suggest William has privately signaled that he will not deal with this as gently as Charles has. One option said to be under quiet discussion is a formal private request for proof, including DNA and medical records, the kind of verification that would have existed if normal royal procedures had been followed. If that request were refused, efforts in Parliament to remove titles long discussed but held back by Charles could quickly gain support. The king would not need to lead that move himself. He would only need to stop preventing it. At that point, title removal would be presented not as a father punishing his son, but as the monarchy protecting its own structure.
Actually opens the door also to when William becomes king, quite reasonably stripping Harry of his title, and perhaps...
This is the outcome William is believed to be preparing for, not a public showdown, but a formal process. Charles understands that. He wants to see his grandchildren, and he wants to pass on a stable crown. Those goals are now tied together. The door is still open, but not forever. And William is already deciding what happens when it finally shuts. The concerns are clear. A government record reportedly shows a code that does not match the stated birth location. The doctor's signatures that had appeared with royal births for generations were incomplete for one child and missing for the other. Archie and Lilibet were added to the line of succession only after a long delay with no explanation. Harry's memoir places the family home within 2 hours of a hospital birth, in a way critics say does not fit geography or normal medical practice. The palace announced Meghan was in labor hours after Archie had already been born. The doctor linked to Lilibet's birth closed her practice just as questions began. And after Lady Colin Campbell publicly pressed Buckingham Palace for answers, the palace said nothing. Any one of those points could have an innocent explanation on its own. A code error could be clerical. A doctor may retire for personal reasons. A family may choose privacy without hiding anything. But taken together, critics argue the pattern is too consistent to ignore. Lady C's central point is the hardest to shake. Whatever the truth, it is unfair to Archie and Lilibet that these doubts existed before they were born and may follow them for the rest of their lives.
She was also furious about the whole surrogacy business and all of the speculation.
The children did not create this doubt. They were born into it, and only the adults who caused it can end it. Meghan's public response, a hospital gown and a dance, did not provide proof or settle anything. It was a public display instead of formal documentation, and that alone raises questions about how seriously this issue is being handled. The pressure grows as reports in 2026 point to strain in the marriage, staff exits, separate lives, and deeper conflict over the children's future. If the marriage formally breaks down, Archie and Lilibet's status may no longer remain a private family matter. It could quickly become a legal and succession issue involving Buckingham Palace, Parliament, and even American officials, uneasy about how Sussex titles are being used in the U.S. The silence cannot last forever. At the center are two children rarely seen in public, with little real connection to the country whose throne they are said to stand in line to inherit. They already carry the burden of history and decisions made long before they could choose anything for themselves. Lady C publicly demanded answers, and the palace has not responded. Until it does, the issue will only grow. With every missing detail, every unanswered challenge, and every report of a failing marriage, the pressure builds. This story is far from over, and when the next major turn comes, it is likely to come quickly. If this story breaks open, we'll cover it with the documents, timeline, legal context, and sourcing others may avoid. If this changed how you see the issue, like and share it. And in the comments, leave the real question that stays with you. If there is an innocent explanation, why has the silence lasted this long? And subscribe if you want more videos on royal topics like this.